Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 15. So you're on the third page, we're looking at number 15. So I gave you some hints. These get tricky. I get that. I gave you some hints yesterday as to make them a little less trickier. Okay. So 15 is what we're looking at. So let's read it. First thing you want to look for, what are they asking for? That will tell you X and Y. Adult tickets for a school musical sold for $3.50 and student tickets sold for $2.50. On a given night, 321 tickets were sold for $937.50. How many of each kind of ticket were sold? What are they asking for? What do they want to know? How many of each ticket? So always find what they're asking for, and that will tell you what to define X and Y as. So step 1 is to find X and Y. So if I want to know how many of each kind of tickets were sold, X would be what each kind of ticket. So what's one type of ticket? Okay. So we had student tickets and we had adult tickets. So adult tickets sold for $3.50 and student tickets sold for $2.50. So I'm going to let X be the number of adult tickets. I'm going to do TIX just to adult tickets, and Y is the number of children tickets. So I want you to label what X and Y are, and you get what X and Y are from what they're asking for. How many of each kind? Now be careful, we talked about this yesterday. It doesn't ask how much, I want to know how many. So X is the number of adult tickets. Y is the number of children tickets. Okay? Any questions on that part? Second part, let's set up my two equations. Now I gave you some hints yesterday. How is kind of a good way to figure out what my equations should look like? Look for the what?
Look for the total.
Totals, yes. Totals are a good way to get started. So look at the totals they give you. What is one total they give you? 321. On a given night, they sold 321 tickets. So if I think about what a total means, it's equal to the total, equal to 321, and I always do what with two things to get a total? Addition. So use that to help you find your totals, and you know, because common sense tells you that totals are always equal to the total, and totals are always two things added to each other. Now 321 is talking about what? The number of tickets. So how do I represent the number of adult tickets and the number of child tickets? X and Y. This is where it gets a little tricky. 321 has nothing to do with money. So I don't put money in front of X and Y because 321 is just the number of tickets. You got it? Okay, you have fun with you. Okay, so be careful. 321 is just the number of tickets, not the money. So it's just X plus Y equals 321. What's another total they give me?
X minus Y. I don't know.
What's another total? 937.5. $937.50. That is the total amount of money. So as I write my second equation, this total is still a total, so you're going to be adding two things together, is dealing with money. So what do I need to do if I'm talking about money?
350 plus 250?
Yep. No, a little more specific. I have to know how much total money. So each adult ticket costs
350 Y.
X.
Wait, no.
Adult tickets.
Yeah.
And 2.5 Y. Okay? So since 937.50 is dealing with the amount of money, we have to think about, okay, if I sell this amount of adult tickets, if I sell X number of adult tickets, the total price is 350 times X because it's 350 per adult ticket. Student tickets are 250 times the amount I sold, so 2.5 Y. So if the total is dealing with money, you have to put the amount for each adult ticket and each student ticket. Okay, any questions on that?
Is it grippy missing?
You what?
Is it grippy on your pencil or whatever that is?
No, it's just not there. It's not supposed to be. Okay, now we have to decide elimination or substitution. You have a couple different options, and I kind of have talked about these, how to do these. I would do substitution with this. Let's try substitution. So in order to do substitution, I have to get one equation to look like what?
Y equals.
Y or X equals. So how could I get one of these equations to be X equals or Y equals?
Subtract.
Michael, close your computer.
Subtract the X.
Okay, subtract the X. You could subtract the X, you could subtract the Y. There's a couple different options. Like I talked about, there's a couple ways to do these. You could also do elimination. So Y equals 321 minus X. Okay. So now, what can I do with the 321 minus X part?
Plug it in for X or Y.
Plug it in where Y is, because it's Y equals. Now you're going to get some weird numbers. I get that. That's why you use a calculator. So 3.5x plus 2.5 times 321 minus x equals 937.5. Okay? Yes, so you've done this before. Your numbers look weird because they sometimes are big and they have decimals. Use a calculator. Okay, we need to distribute the 2.5. If I distribute the 2.5, what do I get?
802.50.
Okay, 2.5 times 321, 802.5 minus 2.5x equals 937.5. If you need to use the space, we're going to do 17, not 16. So if you need to use the space for 16, that's fine. I'm going to kind of run into that space. They don't give you a ton of room. Okay. Yep, on the left side, what things can I combine?
3.5.
Yep. So what is 3.5 minus 2.5? 1. So you just have x plus 802.5 equals 937.5. Yep. Subtract 802.5 from both sides. So even though your numbers are weird, it's the same as a normal equation. You guys can still do this stuff, even though your numbers are weird. So subtract 802.5. So x equals
135.
937.5 minus 802.5 is 135. Okay? It's the same process we've done before, just with weirder numbers. Decimals, big numbers. You guys can do this stuff. Now, once I find one of the values, how do I always find the other value? Plug it in. Now, substitution is nice because there's always a nice equation to plug it into. If I want to know y, what equation should I plug it into? More specific.
Equation for x.
Yes, but which equation?
The x plus y.
I would use the y equals. Either equation will work, but this one's already y equals, so you don't have to do any work. You just plug it in and subtract. So substitution is nice because there's always a nice equation to plug it into. Now, any equation would work, but save yourself some work and just plug in x for 135. 321 minus 135. That's okay. It'll come out of it.
Now, as I look at labeling it, like I said, I want you to label your answers. So step 3, look at your answers and see if it makes sense. So I got 135 for x. What did x represent?
Adult.
Okay, so 135 adult tickets, which would make sense. Like you're not going to have half a ticket, so it makes sense that you would have a positive number without a decimal or fraction. How many child tickets? 186 child tickets. So that makes sense. Okay? So the third step is to label it. So what does it actually mean? Does it make sense? You're not going to have a negative amount of tickets. You're not going to have a decimal. You can't have a half a ticket.
What if, what if you were to take the accident mission half to that?
Right, but you're not going to sell half a ticket.
I would.
Nice. There always is this. There's always that one person who always has to find an
They sell
exception.
half tickets at Chuck E.
Like, you can't have half a dog. You can have half a dog. Just cut it in half. Well, you're not going to sell half a dog.
You know they count half tickets at Chuck E. Cheese? If like a half ticket comes out of
Good.
the machine.
Good for
Put
them.
it in the machine counter.
So I stand corrected, Sheldon. Thank you.
You're right.
Okay, I know I'm right. I always am. Okay, 17. You're fine. Okay, 17. Let's look at 17 real quick. So Mary has a collection of nickels and quarters for a total value of $4.90. If she has 42 total coins, how many of each kind are there? So again, look for what they're asking for. What are they asking for?
How many of each kind?
How many of each kind? That's step one. I know these are tricky, but kind of do each step, and it's going to make your life easier as we put things together. Okay, what two kinds is she looking for?
Coin five.
No. Nickels and quarters. How many of each kind? I have nickels and quarters. So I'm gonna let X be the number of nickels. I'm asking for how many of each. So I'm looking for the number of nickels, and Y will be the number of quarters. So label what each thing represents. X is the number of nickels. Y is the number of quarters. And again, I know it's kind of annoying and I know it's repetitive, but on the I step, they like system story problems. And they give you, the first question says might say identify X and Y. The second question, set up your equation. So I'm doing this because this is what you're gonna see the same sort of process. Okay, step 2, let's set up my two equations. Look for your totals. That is an easy way to get started with this. One total they give me is what? 490. So that is the total value. That's the total amount of money, 490. So total, common sense. To find the total of something, you add two things and you set it equal to the total. Now, this is dealing with money. If I have 4 quarters, how much money do I have? $1. You took the number times what? You took the number of quarters times what? 0.25. So if I'm looking for the total amount of money, I'm going to take the number of quarters and multiply it by what? Pay attention, guys. You can get this. 0.25 Y. So think about this. You guys can, this is kind of common sense. If I want to know how much money I have, you take the number of quarters and multiply it by 25 cents. Michael, keep your head up, please. So you're going to take Y, which is the number of quarters, and multiply by 0.25. Now, how do I find how much money I have from my nickels?
X.
Not just X, because that's the number. 0.05X. Now be careful, it's not 0.5 because 0.5 would be
I don't know where you're getting
50 cents. So 490 is the total amount of money. So if X is the number of nickels, I have to take the number of nickels times 5 cents or 0.05. I have to take... Okay, any other questions on this? Why I came up with this? Okay, then ask them. Okay, so 490 is the total amount of money. So if X is the number of nickels, you have to take the number of nickels times 0.05 or 5 cents, because that's how much each one is.
The value of the nickel
Because I
is
would,
5 cents.
yes,
So he plugs it in for that. Just like he does with the quarters.
yes, because I want to know the total amount of money.
I see, because nickels is 5 cents.
Correct,
Oh.
correct. So if it was a dime, you would put what in front?
10 cents.
0.1. If it was a, I don't know what other thing. If it was a $50, you'd put 0.5. You're not going to have $50, but whatever. So you put the amount each one is worth times how many I have.
They do sell $50.
They do, but yes. Thank you, Sheldon. Okay. So look for another total. What's another total they give you?
42.
42. Now that does not represent money. That represents how many. So what will my equation look like? Yep. X plus Y equals 42. That does not deal with the total amount of money. That deals with the total number. So you're going to take the number of nickels, X, plus the number of quarters, Y, and that is 42. Since it's not dealing with money, you don't have to put money in front. Okay, substitution or elimination. I don't know what it is. Substitution?
I would do elimination.
Let's try elimination. Let's just do something different. So let's try elimination. So if I want to eliminate, either way will work. I might choose substitution, but let's just practice elimination. Okay, do I want to eliminate the x's or y's? Let's do the x's, okay? Let's think about this. You have decimals, you do it the same way. If this is a positive 0.05x on top, I need the bottom to be a negative 0.05. What times 1 gives me a negative 0.05? Negative 0.05. So I'm going to take everything in the bottom equation and multiply by a negative 0.05 because that will give me a positive 0.05x on top and a negative 0.05x on bottom. So you could do substitution. I'm just showing you a different way. Okay, my bottom equation looks like what? Negative 0.05x. Keep going. Negative 0.05y. And then use your calculator. What is negative 0.05 times 42?
I don't understand how to work this thing calculator.
So do negative 0.05 times 42. More than one person doing it. Actually do it on a calculator. That's why you have them.
2.1.
It's a what?
2.1.
Positive or negative? Negative 2.1. Make sure other people agree with it. Negative 0.05 times 42. Negative 2.1. This is why I asked you to get a calculator. Try this on a calculator, please. Negative 0.05 times 42. Is that a negative 2.1?
No, I gotta, wait, what? Wait, 491.
Negative 0.05
I got a negative,
times 42.
I got a negative 0, wait,
So more than 2 people do this on your calculator. I'm not asking too much. Michael, keep your head up. It's negative 2.1?
what was the equation?
Negative 0.05 times 42. Is it negative 2.1?
Yes.
Okay, so now you can kind of lightly cross out the bottom one. So I have the top one and I have the bottom one. Now I can add and my x values will cancel. X's cancel. Okay, we'll add your y's together. What is 0.25 plus a negative 0.05? Plug it in your calculator. When I say that, I mean actually do that. People who are just sitting there. Plug this in your calculator. If I need to go around to every single student and make sure you're plugging it in, I will. Yeah, I want more people to do it.
That's because our calculator's not working.
Come on, guys. I'm done.
Okay, 0.25 plus a negative 0.05. 0.2y. And then 4.9 plus a negative 2.1. That's 4.9 plus a negative 2.1. 2.8. How do I find y? Divide by 0.2. What is 2.8 divided by 0.2? What is it? 14. Okay. Now, y is the number of quarters, so you should not get a decimal because you can't have half a quarter.
You can have a dollar.
You would cut it in half. Yes. Okay, so 14 makes sense for the number of quarters. Listen up, we're almost done. Let's take 14 and plug it in to find x. So which equation should I plug it into to find x?
You plug it in.
Which equation would be easiest?
The x plus.
I would do the x plus y equals 42. So x plus 14 equals 42. Choose the easiest one. Doesn't matter which one.
Would have been way easier.
That's fine. I'm just showing you how to do it both ways. Okay, subtract 14, x equals 42 minus 14,
28.
28.
Plug it in to see if you're right.
Okay. Now let's see, this makes sense. Let's label, third part. So I have how many nickels?
I don't know.
14.
Nickels.
Keep going.
X is the number of nickels. So I have 28 nickels, which makes sense. You could have 28 nickels. How many quarters? 14 quarters. So similar to what we did yesterday, just kind of looking at a couple different examples. So elimination or substitution will usually work. You can kind of choose which way you want to. Either way will work out. Okay,
Skirt.
we're going to be done today. Okay, so you have plenty of time. Like I said yesterday, I want you guys to be able to struggle through these and get help if you need them. So what that involves, you're not going to be able to You're not going to be able to struggle through them if you don't put forth any effort. I get these are tricky, but I also get that I'm giving you plenty of time to try them and figure them out or ask for help. You are not going to figure them out. They're not going to get any easier if you don't put forth an effort and ask for help if you do not understand it. Okay? So the rest of the time, let me pass out the homework you started yesterday. The rest of the time is to finish the homework.